Metaphorically speaking, the biblical concept of the fall represents a great separation, a fall from harmony, wholeness or perfect oneness, a fall from humans with God, humans with each other, and humans with creation, with the world. St. Augustine believed that the fall was caused by pride and greed as humans lusted for power and control over everything. He also believed there was an organic and harmonious relationship between humans and the natural world. This is a powerful metaphor for our current challenges and provides us with insight as to how to change our behavior in order to resolve them. In a similar vein, in his writing, The Circle of Atonement, Robert Perry comments on the little hindrance taken from A Course in Miracles. The separation, the single error of separation from what once was whole, the choice of separateness over oneness, of death over life, and this error fragmented into billions of separate situations and events, as if this one error was seen refracted in a kaleidoscope. Each situation and event was a fractured version of the original error. It was an error of selfish individuation. This error was implicitly taken up by Adam Smith when he postulated that self-interest and the minimum and essential individualism which can be assured to be present in all men was the mainspring, note the mechanical metaphor, of the predatory capitalist economic system. Such a system advanced through unfettered consumption, and the quest for constant economic growth and globalization has compounded the error. As Black Elk says, peace comes within the souls of men and women when they realize their oneness with the universe, the now, no other way. Movement represents an awakening process from fragmentation, separation, and the conflict and war, which results towards wholeness, perfect oneness. The absence of time, the timeless, and the absence of form, the formless. A movement from solely applying logical thought, scientific thinking, reductionism, and the conditioning of the forms of our historic creations to fully integrating, making whole, mind, heart, soul, inner and outer, etc. Ecology, to ensure that we do not fall back into patterns of a global culture that has roots in pathological thinking and has brought us to face our own extinction. Some of the major rifts of separation that aided our current catastrophic situation and need our urgent and immediate attention are the perceived separation between humankind and Earth, the separation we have imposed between nation-states, the separation we are predominantly enacting between virtue and business, the perceived separation of mind, body, and soul, the perceived separation between different religions, the perceived separation between matter and energy. The first step towards uniting starts with recognizing the wholeness that surrounds us and from which we are made manifest, of which we are a reflection, and vice versa. Indeed, whilst it is useful to describe the rifts above, they are just reflections of the greater whole. They are all integral, and as we move our attention towards healing elements of one, it will also help us heal elements of the others. Our hypothesis is, our essential nature is peace, community, cooperation, and perfect oneness. All mutually arises, is experienced and known within perfect oneness as consciousness. Perfect oneness determines all. Our hypothesis postulates, and is supported by quantum field, or force, theory, and many spiritual and indigenous traditions, that the whole is primal and that all emerges within, all is inherently one, what we call perfect oneness, non-duality, no inner, outer, this, that, me, you, etc. The quantum field itself may well be consciousness, and in turn, fundamental to all, a view held by many to varying degrees, including Donald Hoffman, cognitive scientist, Max Planck, quantum physicist, William James, psychologist, Bertrand Russell, philosopher and mathematician, David Chalmers, professor of philosophy, Daniel Schmachtenberger, social philosopher, and Dr. Iain McGilchrist, psychiatrist, philosopher and neuroscientist, along with many others. Our definitions: perfect oneness, formless, beyond words, things and forms, infinite quantum field, ground of being, God beyond God, Tillich, Brahman, unity, unification, one awareness, collective consciousness, collective unconsciousness, Carl Jung, God, Christ, implicate order, David Bohm, benevolence, all-knowing, infinite, unconditional love, soul, perfect oneness as reflected through and within all, spirit, the manifestation of soul, enlightenment, becoming aware, the realization of perfect oneness, truth, that which does not change, perfect oneness is infinite. David Bohm, an eminent quantum physicist and philosopher, provides a good insight to the finite, separate, and infinite oneness. In considering the relationship between the finite and the infinite, we are led to observe that the whole field of the finite is inherently limited, in that it has no independent existence. It has the appearance of independent existence, but that appearance is merely the result of an abstraction of our thought. We can see this dependent nature of the finite from the fact that every finite thing is transient. Our ordinary view holds that the field of the finite is all that there is, but if the finite has no independent existence, it cannot be all that is. We are in this way led to propose that the true ground of all being is the infinite, the unlimited, and the infinite includes and contains the finite. In this view, the finite, with its transient nature, can only be understood as held suspended, as it were, beyond time and space, within the infinite. The field of the finite is all we can see, hear, touch, remember and describe, left brain hemisphere. This field is basically that which is manifest or tangible. The essential quality of the infinite, right brain hemisphere, by contrast, is its subtlety, its intangibility. This quality is conveyed in the word spirit, whose root meaning is wind or breath. This suggests an invisible but pervasive energy to which the manifest world of the finite responds. This energy, or spirit, infuses all living beings, and without it, any organism must fall apart into its constituent elements. That which is truly alive in the living being is the energy of spirit, and this is never born and never dies. Furthermore, Bohm introduces the concept of implicate order, which is a philosophical and theoretical concept that describes a deeper, more fundamental reality. Also see our post The Hard Problem of Consciousness that underlies the universe we observe. It's also known as the enfolded order. The implicate order is the primary reality, which gradually unfolds into the explicate order, or the abstractions, see explicate order above, that humans perceive, abstractions being the key word here. The implicate order suggests that all things are interconnected, and that every part of the universe is enfolded within every other part. This challenges the idea that objects are separate and independent, much of which continues to become proven. Beyond the distractions and challenges of daily life, represented through our social, separate constructs, countries, economics, politics, consumerism, etc., which have a propensity to pull us towards the negative aspects or vices of our modernist behaviors and cultures. Greed, wars, power, control, selfishness, gluttony, competition, etc. Our essence is grounded in a peaceful altruism or virtues, self-restraint, moderation, compassion, cooperation, a unified state, and the challenge of the 21st century is for us to awaken to such. Everything that appears, including thoughts, sensations, and events, emerges from and within perfect oneness. Separateness is only experienced within the mind. It is only seemingly real or true, but not necessarily so, while the underlying reality is one of unity. Donald Hoffman postulates that in order to survive, humankind had to classify friend or foe, threat or opportunity, etc., a form of separateness or duality, which he likens to a headset or screen containing icons, which has enabled us to survive, but it is not ultimate reality which lies behind. Furthermore, Dr. Iain McGilchrist recognizes that our species, having evolved to this point, has mainly been reliant on left brain hemisphere influences, primarily objective activity needed in order to survive and evolve, to this stage being mainly associated with grasping, grabbing, seeing, and building things through the process of separation, but which can no longer dominate if we are to survive in any meaningful way. Whereas the right brain hemisphere influences, primarily subjective, sees the big picture, the interconnectedness of it all, a non-dualist perspective recognizing the importance of interconnection, interplay, and meaning. It is important to recognize that whilst there are physically two brain hemispheres, their processes and actions are fully intertwined and are both engaged to a greater or lesser extent in all that we do. Daniel Schmachtenberger, in a previous video post of ours on emergence, talks about how up to this point in the emergence process, including human emergence and evolution, there has been a sort of bumping, inferring a haphazard, directionless, meaningless, and blind manner. Fritjof Capra says, "In quantum theory, we never end up with things. We always deal with interconnections, a complex web of relationships between the various parts of a unified whole. The realization that systems are integrated wholes that cannot be understood by analysis. Oneness, or the interactions of the quantum field if you prefer, isn't just a concept, but the force that shapes all experiences, relationships, and phenomena. It is the foundation from which all arises and returns, the recognition of which is peace, an all-knowing wisdom state. Humankind has now reached the extent to which it can rely solely on the left brain hemisphere, bumping activities, hereto experienced, a sort of juvenile stage, and needs to awaken and contribute to the great unfolding of all in a more coherent, peaceful, meaningful, wise adult way. Not in any sense of going backwards, but in truly recognizing what all our modernist technology has taught us, amending it, reframing it, adjusting it, understanding it, and our place within nature. Human consciousness aided through critical thinking, compassion, and cooperation. In both scientific inquiry, philosophical thought, and indigenous cultures, the idea that all things are interconnected, we see connections as our mind has become conditioned to separate what is essentially one, has long been a central concept. The term interconnectedness is derived from the modernist, materialist, separate perspective that we have chosen to adopt, wherein our language tends to focus on nouns rather than verbs. Bohm comments that our language was far too object-oriented or noun-based, and argued that this was making us see a world of static objects instead of dynamic processes, a language predominantly for the left brain hemisphere. Bohm also contends that there is nothing separate, finite, limited, or known except from looking at it wrongly. Amoda Marjeevan comments, "No separation is not about feeling this kind of oneness where we are all connected. It has nothing to do with being connected or disconnected. The whole concept of connectedness just dissolves, and you can only be connected or disconnected if there is still an inner division." Our common perspective and use, as it starts from a dualist, modernist, current human separatist mindset, of this interconnectedness, speaks to the deep relationships that exist among all forms of life, nature, systems, and even abstract ideas, right brain hemisphere dominant. It is pointing to the one true reality of perfect oneness. By understanding these connections, from this perspective, we can better comprehend how seemingly disparate elements influence one another, and how complex, interdependent systems operate in harmony, and by doing so can advance our consciousness to a level where we do no harm to one another, our home planet Earth or the universe. Considering the foregoing, for now, from this modernist separate perspective, we will explore interconnectedness, or to give it its rightful name, oneness, through the lenses of nature, society, and the universe, demonstrating how everything is intricately linked, and this will be a first step and aid our awakening or enlightenment. I heard Satish Kumar say recently, "Educated people do not pollute, do not waste, and do not demise the biodiversity and rainforest and honor our oceans." Clearly, we humans consider ourselves to be highly educated, but we are not, if we can't see and appreciate the interconnectedness of everything. The interconnectedness of everything is a profound concept formulated predominantly out of the duality, the separate mindset, of the left brain hemisphere, which shapes our modernist scientific understanding of the world and the universe. From ecosystems to human societies to the vast cosmos, everything is intertwined in a vast web of relationships. For further insight, refer to the work of Fritjof Capra, especially his book, The Web of Life. Recognizing this interconnectedness is essential for addressing global challenges, such as environmental degradation and social inequality. It encourages us to think holistically, to understand that our actions have consequences beyond our immediate surroundings, and to appreciate the complex and beautiful interdependence that defines our existence. What follows are insights from this perspective: interconnectedness in nature. In the natural world, ecosystems offer a clear example of interconnectedness. In any ecosystem, the survival of organisms depends on their relationship with other species and the environment. Plants, for instance, rely on sunlight, water, and nutrients from the soil, while herbivores depend on plants for sustenance. Carnivores, in turn, rely on herbivores for food. If one species is removed from this chain, the entire ecosystem can be thrown off balance. For example, the extinction of a predator can lead to overpopulation of herbivores, which can result in overgrazing and degradation of the environment. Furthermore, the interconnectedness in nature extends beyond individual ecosystems to the global scale. The Earth's climate, water cycles, and biodiversity are all interrelated. A change in one part of the world, such as deforestation in the Amazon rainforest, can have ripple effects that influence climate patterns, biodiversity, and even weather systems across the globe. This underscores the idea that everything in nature is connected in a delicate balance. Interconnectedness in society. In human society, the interconnectedness of individuals and communities is evident in economics, culture, and social systems. Globalization has heightened this sense of interconnectedness, as the actions of one nation or group can have far-reaching effects across the world. For instance, economic decisions made in one country, such as trade policies or technological advancements, can impact jobs, resources, and living conditions in other countries. The 2008 financial crisis is a clear example, where the collapse of financial institutions in the United States led to widespread economic consequences worldwide. Culturally, interconnectedness is seen in the way ideas, art, and traditions spread and evolve. Modern technology and communication tools have made it easier for cultural exchanges to occur, leading to a blending and sharing of traditions across borders. As people and cultures interact, new innovations arise, and shared challenges, such as climate change or pandemics, require collective solutions. Interconnectedness in the universe. At a more abstract and cosmic level, the interconnectedness of everything can be understood through scientific discoveries about the nature of the universe. Theories like quantum entanglement suggest that particles, no matter how far apart, non-local, can be connected in ways that challenge our traditional understanding of space and time. This hints at a deeper, more fundamental level of interconnectedness, oneness, that exists beyond human perception. Also, see our previous post, Space-Time and all within it emerges from conscious agents. Furthermore, the formation of stars, planets, and galaxies is part of a cosmic cycle that connects all matter in the universe. The elements that make up the human body, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, were formed in the hearts of ancient stars that exploded as supernovae. This stardust became the building blocks of life on Earth, showing that we are quite literally connected to the cosmos. Consciousness from an interconnected perspective can be understood as an emergent phenomenon that arises from the complex relationships between various interconnected systems, both within an individual and across the broader environment. Rather than being isolated within the brain, consciousness reflects the continuous interaction of neurons, body systems, and external stimuli. Internally, it emerges from the dynamic exchange of information between different regions of the brain, body, and even gut and heart, all working together to create our subjective experience. Externally, we are influenced by the world around us, our social interactions, culture, environment, and the collective consciousness of others. These external influences shape our perceptions, thoughts, and behaviors in ways that connect us to the broader web of life. So, consciousness is not just a localized experience. See non-local above and https u2.be nty4ljm4zb0, but part of a larger network of connections, biological, social, and environmental, that all contribute to the richness and complexity of being aware. This interconnected view highlights how we're shaped by and contribute to the greater whole, blurring the lines between self and the world. Systems theory is an interdisciplinary framework that describes interconnectedness from our current perspective for understanding and analyzing complex interactions within a system, whether biological, social, technological, or conceptual, and can help move us towards perfect oneness. In some way, systems theory provides insight to the unfoldment mentioned in Bohm's concept of explicate order. It views a system as a set of interrelated components that work together to achieve a common goal or function within a broader system. Systems theory emphasizes the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and that the behavior of the system cannot be fully understood by examining individual elements in isolation, as we do in much our modern-day science and culture. The key concepts in systems theory are: system. A system is an organized collection of components or elements that are interconnected and interdependent, as described by our current modernist perspective, but are explicitly enfolded in everything else. It can range from biological organisms to ecosystems, organizations, or even conceptual models. Boundaries. Every system has boundaries that separate it from the external environment, helping to distinguish what is inside, the subsystem, from what is outside, its surroundings. But nevertheless, inside and outside are impacting each other, and at the quantum level, there is no boundary. Inputs and outputs. Systems interact with their environment through inputs, resources, information, and energy, and outputs, products, information, services. The inputs are processed internally by the system to produce desired outputs. Feedback loops. Systems often rely on feedback loops, which can be positive or negative. These loops help systems self-regulate and adapt to changes in the environment. Positive feedback amplifies changes, while negative feedback stabilizes the system. Homeostasis. This is the system's ability to maintain a stable internal state in response to external changes, often achieved through feedback mechanisms. Open versus closed systems. An open system interacts with its environment and exchanges energy or information with it, while a closed system is isolated from its environment. Most real-world systems are open. Emergent properties. Emergence refers to properties or behaviors that arise from the interactions between individual components of a system, which cannot be predicted by simply analyzing the parts in isolation. Applications of systems theory. Biology. In ecosystems, the interactions between organisms and their environment are viewed as a complex system of energy and matter flows. Engineering. Systems theory is used in designing and analyzing systems like computer networks, manufacturing processes, and control systems. Management. Organizations are often analyzed as systems to improve processes, decision-making, and organizational efficiency. Social sciences. It is used to study complex social systems, such as family dynamics, communities, and societal institutions. However we approach our condition as human beings, science, religion, philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, or face up to the existential challenges we face, the evidence is overwhelming. We are one. You are not called to love your neighbor as yourself. You are called to love them because they are you. May we all awaken. May we all find our way back to the garden.